Hi, my name is Al Getler, and welcome to another episode of Lead or Be Led, where we talk to all types of leaders. Leaders of people, leaders in the marketplace, leaders in social media, and really just leaders who are doing some really cool stuff. We invite you, please, to spread the word about our show. Certainly tweet about it, put it on your Facebook. Let your folks know in your group that we have something that's great going on here, really concentrating on putting good leadership together in the world and bringing some great guests in that help us do that. So with that, I want to introduce you to my guest today. I am very fortunate to have with me the CEO of a company that I admire a great deal. So therefore, I admire the CEO a great deal as well, too. He's Boston-based, actually Cambridge, Massachusetts. He's going to tell us a bit about how highly rated his company is in so many ways. Let me introduce to you Brian Halligan. Brian?
Great. Nice to be here, Al. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, welcome to the show. I'm really thrilled to have you. Brian, I have been keeping my eye on HubSpot for a few years now, and there are some tremendous things happening. So without any bit of humble pie, tell us what are some of the great things that are happening over at HubSpot?
Oh, I think the greatest thing going on in HubSpot is just how great our customers are doing. We've got about 10,000 customers today, and basically what they're doing is leveraging the internet to grow their businesses. They're using a type of marketing we call inbound marketing to pull customers in through blogs and through Google and through all the different social media sites. And we're helping companies sort of rethink marketing from traditional kind of outbound marketing. We interrupt people with cold calls and emails and things like that. How do you pull them in and match the way you market with the modern way that humans shop and learn? And so the thing, I guess, that's most exciting, most interesting going on is we have 10,000 customers that are doing great. They're growing their business using inbound and HubSpot.
Now, that number 10,000, though, has also ranked you a couple different ways. You're the fastest growing company in the state of Massachusetts. Is that right?
I think so. Several people have told me that. I have no way to confirm it, but I think so.
And what are some of the other accolades you've received from the media, from the standpoint of HubSpot?
Well, we grew 82% last year, which was great.
Right.
Several years in a row, we've been voted the best place to work in Massachusetts, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We've won all kinds of awards that have been really terrific and fun.
So let's talk about that best place to work for a second, because obviously a CEO doesn't have 82% growth without a team working around them that's happy. And, you know, HubSpot's a pretty happy place with the exposure that I've had to HubSpot, both visiting your offices, being a customer, as well as, attending your inbound conference, which we'll talk about a bit later on. Why is everybody so damn happy at HubSpot, Brian?
It's a funny question. I think our approach to marketing and our approach to culture is pretty similar. Sort of at the heart of the way we think over here is we see this big kind of shift in the way humans sort of work and live. And what we want to do is build a modern culture, a modern company that kind of matches the way modern humans want to work and live. And so we're trying to rethink culture in a very new and interesting way. Most companies are their culture is rooted and sort of stuck in the 1990s. We want to build a very modern culture. And we think it's very similar to the way we think about marketing. We think the way humans shop and buy has really changed.
Right.
And so the marketers need to really change the way they market to match the way humans shop and buy. So the two topics are actually quite related. And so we've got a unique culture in that we try to rethink it from first principles in a way that seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, I've visited HubSpot, and I've seen the culture in the most obvious and inobvious ways. One of the ways that is a bit inobvious to the folks who are on the other end of what HubSpot offers them around the world is I'm walking through and sitting there with the developers, are you and your co-founder. And right underneath the fellow's table, sitting along with you, is a dog. So tell us a bit about that and how that all kind of comes together.
Well, it's sort of related to what I just said. I kind of think that this idea of having an office or a corner office is a little bit an old school approach. It used to be that organizations were very hierarchical, and I think that sort of came out of the World War II military mentality when all the generals and admirals came out of the military and they went into companies. And it was very top down in the knowledge, the power and the knowledge were concentrated up at the top. Those people had their corner offices. I sort of think for a modern company that was born of the internet and born in the age of the internet, you really need to rethink that and have it be much more flat, because the knowledge is in everyone's hands. And just because you're a lot younger or earlier in your career, it doesn't mean that you're not gonna have a better idea than you or me. And so we have no offices, no walls, so everybody works out in the open. And we're trying to send a signal of a flat organization. We're trying to make ourselves very accessible, and we're trying to make it much more so it's bottoms up, not top down. So that's sort of the office space. In terms of the dog. We surveyed our employees recently, and we survey them all the time. One of the responses to the survey, we asked them about different perks, and it turns out doggy daycare as a perk was a more popular one than child daycare, and that's sort of a sign of the times. But a lot of our people have dogs, and so it's actually not allowed in the building, but we kind of turn a blind eye to it, and some people let their dogs in. And the reality is, I just love my dog. His name's Romeo. He's 5 years old, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful little beast. And I like having him with me in the office.
Well, coming from a guy here with 3 dogs, I totally get that approach. So no two ways about it. In fact, I promised that one day I'd bring my my 2-legged Chihuahua down to meet the staff. So we'll get that done someday. So you talk about ideas, okay? And I have heard you speak, and I've heard some of the things that you've talked about with even interns coming up with ideas. And you showed a video at a recent Inc. event that was held in Boston that I'd love to show right now on the show and talk a bit about afterwards. So we're going to show that video, and then you can tell us a bit about the young lady in it when we come back and how she created the video.
Sounds good.
This is Rick Burns from BuyTimeShare.com. Yes, South Florida.
What the hell is this internet crap? If you're not dialing, I'm not smiling. I'm going to be back in an hour.
If I make one more call, I might go punch a wall. No one understands that this doesn't work. They hang up 'cause I'm a creep. The mail I send they don't read. They always find a way to ignore me. I'm interrupting their lives, so they threaten me with knives. I didn't think that marketing was like torture, 'cause the calls are mail, TV ads, they'll fail, and they aren't getting me anywhere. They don't work. No. And every time I try to sell, did you know that I'm told that you go to hell? Then I cry, and you wonder why I want leads to come to me. Fix our SEO, get some in my links. RSS, let's get blogging. Why don't we just use inbound marketing? You ought to know. Get my page rank up. Tag my content. Fix my landing page. Let them come to me. Now I can blog, I can tweet, publish things you will read. Won't have to bug you in the middle of dinner. Google me organically, search results 1, 2, and 3. You need my products, yeah, you'll find me. 'Cause the calls, direct mail, TV ads, they all failed, and they weren't getting me anywhere. They don't work. No. And every time I tried to sell, did you know I was told that you go to hell? Then I cried, and you wondered why. Now my leads, they come to me. Fix our SEO, got some in my links. RSS, now we're blogging. Thank God now we use inbound marketing. You ought to know.
Well, Brian, that is a great video, and I know there are a few surprises about how this video is made. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I like that video too. It's a lot of fun. The lady who created that video, her name's Rebecca Corliss, and we hired Rebecca between her junior and senior year. She was at BU, and she was a marketing major, but she was in all the plays and the Glee Club, very creative. And so we hired her as a summer intern, and we said, your job this summer is to create an inbound marketing viral video. Because we had never done it, we didn't know how to do it. And that was the result of her summer project. She did a wonderful job. She's got hundreds of thousands of viewers on there. We track the number of viewers over time, and those viewers turn into customers at a pretty good rate. So the people who watch that video actually convert pretty well. And I think that's a sign of the times. I think that if you want to do modern marketing well, you need to do what you're doing, create content. And that content pulls people in. And she created a great video, and you can do ebooks or blog articles or interviews like this. And in each piece of content is like a magnet that pulls in customers. And she created a real beauty of a video. And the other thing I like about it is all the rules have been broken in marketing, and the playbook's being reinvented. And it turns out the gray hair, the gray hair I have is not that valuable. It turns out that that when the rules are rewritten, a lot of experience is really overrated and can be sort of cumbersome. So these young smart kids are really helping us rethink a lot of things, our culture and marketing and all this stuff.
Well, you have a term that you use for the folks who are 25 and under, 20 and under. You call them digital natives. Is that right?
There's a book called Digital Natives, and I borrow that term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And digital native can apply to an age group or just anyone who's, I call it digital natives versus digital immigrants. And you know you're a digital immigrant if you speak internet with an accent, is the way I like to think about it. And a digital native can be any age. I'm kind of a digital native, and I'm an OWG, an old white guy. I'm 45 years old. I'm kind of a digital native. It turns out oftentimes they're younger because younger people grew up with broadband access into their house and smartphones, so they just learn that language in a way that OWGs didn't. But digital natives can be anyone. But we tend to skew towards trying to hire people who are digital natives, and we teach the world about how to use this new technology to grow their business. Yeah,
it makes perfect sense for the mission that you're on. I mean, when you take a look at something at Vine, when you talk about the old white guys, I mean, people look at Vine of a certain generation, they go, I don't get it. Why would you do that? But yet, who are we to talk? It's exploding. It's huge, and people are there constantly creating new content. And it's one of the latest things. So, you mentioned something before about conversion rate and this video. One of the things that the HubSpot platform can do is track that occurrence in that sales funnel. So just briefly, how does that occur? How do you watch that view become a customer in that sales funnel?
Sure. I sort of think that the whole end-to-end sort of customer acquisition process has radically changed. And the old way you used to market and the old way you used to sell really doesn't work. It doesn't match the way modern humans shop for stuff and buy for stuff. So we're trying to rethink the whole funnel.
Right.
And one of the ways we do that is give you a set of reports, basically, that look at what really works and what doesn't. Where are your visitors coming from? Are they coming from Google? Which keywords? Are they coming from YouTube? Are they coming from that interview you did online? Are they coming from that ebook or wherever it would be? And what's the percentage of those visitors that are turning into leads? And then what's the percentage of those leads turning into customers? A very simple reporting. And then we just encourage our customers, double down on the stuff that works and stop doing the stuff that doesn't. And we notice that people who create remarkable content, really interesting content, worthy of a remark, do incredibly well. And there's no magic pixie dust. Your success, I kind of feel like, with this new type of marketing is much more about kind of the width of your brain than the width of your wallet. You don't need a lot of money to do it, but if you're creative, you can be very successful with it.
Absolutely. And it's still not an excuse for not having hard work. In fact, the people who put content together for your model really do have to think very hard. They have to find the keywords that do speak to the customers that they're looking to draw in. And they have to offer some things for free. Your website's ebook library is fantastic. I send people there constantly. You do some great things to draw people into the HubSpot website. You also do something really, I think, fantastic when it comes to putting together what would normally be the typical conference into the not so typical conference. And that is what you do every year. And I'm not sure how many years you've been doing it now, but you can tell me. The Inbound Marketing Conference, or Inbound. Tell us a bit about that. It's coming up in August 2013 as we speak.
Sure. Yeah, we do put on this. It's sort of a marketing transformation conference. We call it Inbound. We've been doing it for 4 or 5 years now. I can't remember. But it's not a typical sort of vendor conference, user group thing. It's more of an industry conference about how to really rethink everything in business, but started with marketing. And this year's going to be great. We have some awesome speakers like Ariana Huffington, who I think is the ultimate inbound marketer, because she was nobody, and she sort of upset the New York Times, upset the Washington Post, upset the whole publishing industry by being creative and creating great content, and really disrupted a whole industry. Nate Silver, who I think is brilliant, he's the guy he's the statistician that's predicted that really predicted the presidential election to the T, the last 2 elections. Seth Godin, who's a classic, he's sort of I really admire the guy, really great marketer, great marketing thinker. He's just terrific. And then a new guy on the scene, Harrison, the CEO of Charity Water. Charity Water is, I think, the most interesting charity on the planet today. And they're world-class inbound marketers. So he's going to talk about Charity Water. I think it's going to be great. I personally, this year, I do my own speech, and I engineered it to go early so I could sit through all the other presentations because I really want to enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's an education. I mean, last year I went, and what I picked up on those days during Inbound was incredible. It felt like a new marketing MBA. By the time it was done, I was sitting behind a gentleman when Gary Vaynerchuk spoke last year, and the guy took out his pad and got ready for some note-taking, and about 3-4 minutes into Gary's discussion and about 20 F-bombs in, the guy gently just closed his book and sat back and just paid attention.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Well, it was great because I was watching someone who realized it's a whole new world out there. And this is a guy, Gary V, who's creating this content that, speaks to everything you've just discussed about content and its importance and what it is to speak to your customers on a daily basis on the web. So it's pretty amazing. So Brian, before we let you go, you have, I'm sure, so many wonderful new things on the burner, but maybe a few predictions, a few things you see coming up in the near and far future that we as marketers and leaders in the marketplace need to be keeping our eyes on.
Yeah, I do. There's a great presentation out there by a woman named Mary Meeker. She's a venture capitalist now at Kleiner Perkins. And she talks about the transformation that's happened in lots of industries. Like, you think about the phone industry, the transformation that's happened there. You think about even like the photo album industry and the massive transformation there. You think about the transformation in the note-taking world, every B2C industry, like every part of your personal life has been completely changed in the last 5 years. I think the same thing happens in business to business. I think same thing has to happen in companies. I think most companies still operate as though it was 1995. Right. And I think you're going to see big shifts in the fundamental ways in which people market and sell and service and lead, that there's going to be a pretty big sea change that will happen in the B2B world, similar to what's happened in the B2C world over the last 5 years. There's massive changes happened over the last 5 years. Think about Dropbox and the big changes there. Like, everything's been blown up and rethought over the last 5 years. Yeah,
we move about and do things so differently.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. I'm just going to end on having you tell one quick story, and it really gives impact to your way of thinking as a CEO. And that is a story that I've heard you tell about a young man who spent the entire weekend working on a project. And you can take the story from there.
Sure. There's this guy who I work with when we were first starting HubSpot, and he and I worked the whole weekend together on a software development project. And we must have spent 20 hours online on Saturday and Sunday. And I didn't see him on Monday, but in the afternoon, he came in and he handed me a form, and it was his vacation form. He wanted to take vacation a week from Friday and go to Philadelphia to visit his girlfriend. And I signed the form, and as I'm signing the form, I thought to myself, well, that's kind of interesting. I'm signing the form to let him go on vacation a week from Friday, but he didn't give me like the credit form for all the work he did over the weekend. I'm like, this is kind of silly. Everyone's working on the weekends. We're a startup. Everyone's got a mobile phone now. Everyone's got a mobile computer. The idea of an office today, and the office is an idea, not a place. It used to be a place. Now it's much more of an idea. So that's part of the culture shift. Is we said, well, let's get rid of all the paperwork associated with vacation. Let's not even track it. Let's just assume people are working hard and getting their work done, and let them take vacation whenever they want, let them work wherever they want, and sort of rethink that and all kinds of other things to try to match the way modern humans actually behave. And that's one piece of the ingredient of the new culture that's been controversial, but I think effective.
Well, I think it also shows a lot of trust, and I think it's important in this world today. And I think, Brian, you guys are doing a great job rethinking the workplace and also rethinking the way we market day in and day out as businesses to consumers and businesses to businesses. So, Brian, it's a thrill, always a thrill to speak to you, always a thrill to hear your ideas. I look forward to seeing you at Inbound real soon. Thanks for being our guest on Leader Be Led.
Thanks, Al.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Leader Be Led. We want to thank you for being here. Now, interviews like Brian Halligan, they're one of a bunch of great interviews we have with people like Brian who bring us new ideas in the marketplace, new ideas on how to lead people. Some of the ideas going on at HubSpot culture-wise, Brian just touched on a few. There are so many great things out there to talk about. We want to hear your ideas. Certainly comment below on YouTube or comment below on our website. Tell your friends once again about us, and we're going to see you soon on the next episode of Lead or Be Led. Thanks for joining us.